going to start up again. And I'm happy to introduce you to our next two speakers, Dr. Smita Garg and Dr. Wendy Nethersole, Reverend. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about both of them. I'm so excited to have them here. And we are going to have a really great talk on twin souls. And Dr. Smita Garg is the founder of Kinder Way Healing. She's certified by Dr. Brian Weiss in past life regression and trained by Dr. Linda Bachman in between lives regression, soul regression. Smita is a gifted intuitive and empathic, and she is a meditation expert in the Samadhi meditation, and she specializes in spiritual mentoring with twin souls and twin flames. Smita is also an artist educator and a lifelong community activist and involved in a number of San Jose's arts community. And if you want to learn more about her, you can go to kinderwayhealing.com. And then Wendy Nethersole is a reverend, and she's a co-founder of a Namkara Foundation, and she is a teacher, intuitive healer, and life and soul path counselor. She's a fabric artist, and Wendy's a certified practitioner in past life soul regression, between lives, soul regression, Akashic records, and Reiki. She's also does soul portraits. And for more information about Wendy, you can go to wendynethersole.com. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Wendy.
Hi, everyone. We are really excited to be here. I'm Smita, and this is my dear friend, Wendy.
Yes, and hello. My name is Wendy, and we are delighted to be here to co-present today. So we're co-presenting on split souls, okay, split incarnations, and I hope you're ready because we're going to be on a journey. We actually are going to be doing a bit of later on a bit of an experiential journey that dear Smita will be leading. So that'll be a little bit later about that. When we get to that point.
I'm so excited to have you here. I would like to begin with a homage to our teachers. So I'm going to request Carol to get our presentation on. So, multiple simultaneous incarnations. Next slide. So we would like to begin with a homage to all our teachers who are living and not in body, teachers who are in spirit and helping us, continuing to help us. This is a very special just getting my laptop started here. Okay. So this is a very beautiful prayer for peace, or it's called Shanti Mantra from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which was written in 7th to 6th century BC. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. So this is a prayer to the divine, to lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. And there's a reason we say Shanti 3 times. Peace within us, peace in our world, on Earth, and peace in the entire universe. And so today, we would like to begin with a prayer for peace in our entire world.
And also, we would like to pay homage to the masters of wisdom, who are, of course, all of our teachers. They have dedicated themselves, these masters that once lived on the planet, but over many, many lifetimes have ascended into the multi-dimensions, and they have dedicated themselves to the evolution of humanity, of all life on this planet. And so this Brotherhood of Light, sometimes called the Great White Brotherhood, and of course, as you all know, I'm sure, white does not refer to race, but is the amazing, beautiful illumination of light radiating out of the chakras of these ascended light beings that have dedicated themselves to us and to the evolution on this planet. So we want to just mention them as well, our teachers. We're getting used to the slides. All right. And so what are split souls? Multiple holographic aspects of the same soul currently embodied on the planet. So what we're going to go into detail, but basically these souls can be incarnated in multiple realms simultaneously, living parallel lives, incarnated on the earth plane, living overlapping lives. So difference between past lives and split souls, a parallel life, would be that we're talking about souls that are born into bodies overlapping in your lifespan, basically. If we think of humans as 100 years or something like that, you wouldn't have the same birth date necessarily, but you would be born into a number, you would be choosing to come into a number of, be embodied on planet Earth is what we're mainly going to be speaking to. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what that is overall what we'll be speaking to in more detail. And so we would like to start by, and it's beautiful because our Dr. Bish was also speaking about Dr. Ian Stevenson. So you see our slide here where we have Dr. Walter Semke and Dr. Ian Stevenson's work. This body of work is so incredibly important because, you know, when they were pioneers, and there were other pioneers as well in reincarnation research, but the body of work that they dedicated their lives to began way back. Dr. Stevenson was the founder and director of the Division of Perceptual Studies, as it says here at the University of Virginia School of Medicine. He worked for over 50 years and on the studies that he's very well known for, where with children, mainly children, there's a great body of work where the children had spontaneous memories of reincarnation, and the significance here was that he was able to validate much of the information that came forward from children where they would have no idea that these individuals living all around the world, different lifetimes, that they spontaneously knew their names, places of birth, intimate details that only someone living in that body would know. So we're talking about bridging this gap between science and spirituality with factual information that can be validated. So here we have, with both Dr. Walter Semke and Dr. Stevenson, MDs with excellent credentials, which once again was important at this time because in the beginning, when a lot of this was coming out in the West, it wasn't part of a religious upbringing per se. In the East, there may be, for instance, in the Indian culture, this is something that was pretty well accepted, and you grew up with this as a belief system. Not so much in the West at this time. And so the body of work that Dr. Stevenson had was extremely significant for that reason. Now, Dr. Walter Semke was the individual who coined the term split souls. It had been, Dr. Stevenson might have referred to parallel lives, but Dr. Semke in the year 2000 coined the term split souls, and he actually spent a whole day. He didn't meet, he knew about Dr. Stevenson's work, but he did not meet him until one day in 2001. He went to the University of Virginia and spent a whole day with him, and immediately was so drawn in with the work and decided that he wanted to dedicate and support Dr. Stevenson's work in a big way. Dr. Semke really didn't start looking at and investigating past lives. He was more traditionally based for a while, but more and more he became very curious about his past lives. So as he began studying with some individuals and really went out on the edge, I think, for someone with his background, which is wonderful, by deciding to work with mediums such as Kevin Ryerson and some others that are well known in the field, because he did say a couple of interviews we were reading, and he mentioned, I don't have the same gifts. I'm not able to tune in as a channel light. And so he particularly wanted to work with some of these gifted individuals that were available to him that he felt had excellent reputation, so that he could go further into this. So that the two together collaborated, and if you're interested in the details of their work, certainly, as we saw, there are many, many books that Dr. Stevenson has written and published that are available. The same with Dr. Semke. So in particular, he, for instance, the book Born Again, I think was written where he took the concept of reincarnation and then took at least 10, I believe, of Dr. Ian Stevenson's well-documented cases and used the postulates he had developed and used those cases to further illustrate. So it's very, very important. The reason that we are spending a few moments here is this body of research was significant, once again at this time, especially to introduce the West more to these, the reincarnation, and see that tapestry that's being woven between science and spirituality.
And it's important to note that in Dr. Stevenson's work, Dr. Semke was able to find instances of incarnations which the same soul had overlapped lifetimes. And that is why he coined the term split souls. So basically the same soul was found in two separate bodies, animating two separate bodies at the same time. So this was, at that time, I believe, a fairly revolutionary idea. Both Wendy and I had the opportunity to study with Dr. Linda Backman and train with her. And Dr. Backman, we had no idea when we started to train with her, also had studied split souls. And so in her book, The Evolving Soul, Spiritual Healing Through Past Life Exploration, there's a whole chapter on split souls. And there's a beautiful saying by Swami Vivekananda that those of us who are from the Indian diaspora will recognize his name. And this quote is actually there right at the beginning of Linda's chapter, and it's really beautiful. And it kind of sums up this whole idea of what self-discovery is and what self-realization is. You have to grow from the inside out. None can teach you. None can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but your own soul. So we would like to recognize our teacher, Dr. Linda Backman, for introducing us to the subject of split souls. And we will refer to her work from time to time on the subject of split or simultaneous incarnations. And the chapter is in her book, and you're all welcome to buy that book and read it for yourself. And now passing it on to Wendy again.
Thank you, Smita. And so it's wonderful. I do highly recommend the book because she goes into a lot of detail with split souls, and it will help to, you'll have greater understanding in that respect with those details. So, may we have the next slide, please?
Oh. All right. Oh. Still my turn. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so just a little bit about Dr. Linda Backman. She is a psychologist by training, but she started to open spiritually after a very profound personal experience of losing a colleague, and that colleague started to come through, and she could hear him from the beyond. And initially, she thought there was something wrong with her. But her husband, Earl, who is a professor in accountancy, University of Colorado, actually shared with her that he had had instances in his early childhood when he remembered his past lives, and he truly believes it's an area that could be explored. So then Linda went on to train with Dr. Michael Newton. We know about his work. He's done incredible work in the field of between life soul regression, establishing that practice. And one of the ways Linda has really impacted our work is because her body of work talks about souls that are not necessarily from the earth plane. Now that again is another revolutionary idea for many, but she started to see in her clients that many of them were going back not to past lives, but to a place they called home. And they were describing these places in detail, and she could not ignore. She could not ignore the details that were coming through. So in her books, she talks about enlightened earth beings or EEBs who vibrate at an advanced scale of 8 or greater. And EEBs choose to be born in order to bring greater enlightenment to earth. They act as emissaries to higher level guides and ascended masters. And per Dr. Backman, and I thought this was really a fun way of looking at split souls, that because enlightened earth beings vibrate at a higher frequency, and they just can do creative things with their energy. And one of the ways they get creative is by subdividing their soul energy, and so they can incarnate simultaneously to live on the earth plane. And she mentions the case of Lily, one of her clients, who actually under regression talked about 10 split lives starting from 1840. But at a given moment, she can only hold about 6 bodies. And then she talks about another subject, Stella, who described 2 split souls. And I myself, in my clients, I have clients, I have people I've worked with who have shown up in multiple bodies under regression. So I know it happens, and it's just a very exciting area, and we are still looking into it. It's an area that isn't well researched at all yet, but I think it's definitely something exciting that we are looking more into now. Right.
And so as Smita said, it's so exciting, and we're just, as you can imagine, I mean, here the theme of the conference is expanding consciousness. So in presenting, we're certainly not trying to give you proofs or anything like that, but just to present the body of work and see what resonates for you and help, that invitation goes out to all of you to just look at this as a wonderful experience of expanded consciousness. And so moving on to the next slide here, we wanted to give you a visual. And this visual actually just came to us. We both were, a lot of the information as we were talking about our subject would come and just, you'd see it, in your mind's eye, or just feel it in your heart. And so if you look here, this is going to depict an example of a split soul that would have 5 embodiments, okay? So you have what we're calling the oversoul, one soul. So they share, all of the incarnated individuals here share a soul. But as you can see, they each have their own higher self, okay? But you will have 5 embodiments on the planet. And as we mentioned before, not necessarily the same birthdays, but they would be overlapping. Now, as we prepare to come into lifetime, into an incarnation as a soul spirit, we know that we are working with our guides, angels, the masters, even our master teachers, and quite a bit of planning. I'll call it the soul blueprint, okay, the life blueprint. Quite a bit of planning goes into that. Advanced souls are the only souls that would choose multiple incarnations. And they would be the only souls that would be able to hold that amount of solar energy on the planet. It would never be 100%, because we always retain the divine connection, that interconnection with divinity. But each of the 5 that you see here depicted would have a percentage, not necessarily equal percentage of solar energy to hold that light, and to give the opportunity to accomplish whatever the soul, whatever each of the embodiments wishes to accomplish on the planet in that lifetime. So that's how the decision would be made, and move into planetary aspects. And we will just go ahead and we'll talk a little bit more about what happens after that in the next slides. So if I could have the next slide, please. And so split souls, as you can imagine, are relatively rare. They are multiple holographic aspects of one oversoul, which we just showed you as a visual. Twin flames is an example of a split soul, okay? And Smita is going to speak a little bit more in detail about twin flames. The twin flame soul originate with the same monad and then split. A lot of times when I speak to people, this is the only example that they're familiar with. But it is an example. Overlapping and integrating experiences. So split souls, when they come into incarnation, this could be over a period of 40, 50, 60, 70 years that are overlapping, but they're connected with soul mission. There's always a path of service, okay? This is a path where individuals coming into this lifetime are working from that heart-centered space. Certainly we're still in the density of this planet and human and learning lessons and so on and so forth. But there's going to be an inner divine calling. These beings feel a distinct calling for the benefit of all, for unity consciousness. So this is something that will absolutely be common throughout any split soul and body, all of the individuals there. We are light workers and wave showers. So wave showers, it's probably interchangeable terms, but again, as we were sitting and talking about what commonalities all split souls carry, immediately we heard wave showers. So one of the things that would be very significant and important, you'd want to come into being a split soul if you had that choice, if you could anchor that much light onto the planet. And this was an agreement made with your teachers before coming in to speed up your personal evolution, but really it's also for the collective consciousness, which Chris Bosch so eloquently spoke to. And so light workers and way showers to light that path to, and with each step of the way, with each choice that they make on the planet, radiating light, first loving yourself, and then learning to radiate it out, create the creative gifts. So that's, and what split souls are. Yeah.
Yeah, Wendy and I often, while we were doing, working on this presentation, we often joked about, gosh, one life is hard enough. Why would you want to show up in multiple bodies and live through multiple challenging lives? But, you know, sometimes when a soul decides to send multiple splits out, it is truly to challenge itself to grow. And that's at the heart of it. But also at the heart of it is like what you said, Wendy, that they are here to speed up the process of enlightenment for the collective. Because as we all have experienced, the wars, the trauma, everything just keeps growing. It just keeps growing. At some point, humanity has to look at itself and say, is it even worth it? So what we've seen in research, and also Dr. Backman's research, that there's more souls showing up on Earth from other advanced cultures, incarnated in human bodies to help speed up Earth's ascension. So, and split souls are part of that whole plan to help speed up our collective enlightenment. So I will move on to the next slide. One more time. And this is just a mention of a soul, and a soul that is essentially has the ability to split in two exact opposite polarities. So every soul is, by nature, has feminine and masculine polarities, which are combined. So each one of us has a feminine and masculine aspect within us. And in case of twin flames, because this is a term being used a lot nowadays, and some of the folks I've worked with are twin flames, so I've been able to collect this information. Next slide. In case of twin flames, what happens is it's about how the split happens. So if a soul decides to send its masculine and feminine aspects separately. Now, both these aspects hold the exact solar energy, not S-O-L-A-R, but S-O-U-L-A-R. So every soul, when it decides to send, when it decides to incarnate on Earth, it's not the whole soul that incarnates on Earth. It's always a small portion of its energy that is sent as an incarnation. So for example, if a soul is at 100%, it might choose to send maybe, okay, I'm sending John to Earth. He's going to be born in Denmark. He's going to be 6 feet tall, blonde hair, whatever. 25% of my solar energy is going to go to John. And so this is how a soul decides to incarnate. It's never its 100% energy. So when twin flames come on Earth, say a soul decides 50% of our energy needs to go in a masculine, feminine polarity on Earth, and the soul sends that 50% on Earth in 2 bodies, not male and female body necessarily, but a masculine polarity, feminine polarity, each holding 25%, equal and opposite energies. And that's what happens in the case of twin flames. And this is why when twin flames are incarnated together, it's a very, very strong magnetic attraction, and it's a very intense relationship. It's not like a regular love story because it's not meant to be. It's always about bringing to balance the feminine or masculine balance, not just within yourself, but also on the earth plane. So they always come on a combined mission. And the mission is to bring greater balance on the earth plane. So that's what I wanted to share about twin flames. And the thing about them is no matter where they are, they may not be born in the same area, same region, same, time period, but whenever they exist together on the earth plane, soul level, they are constantly communicating and integrating their experiences because they are really here on a combined mission. So that's what I've learned from my research. So, and the next slide just is about how they show up on the earth plane. Now, someone could have feminine polarity, but could be born in a male body. And someone could have a masculine polarity and could be born in a female body. Or they could both be males, they could both be females. It can work in any combination. It's just what polarity you're carrying. And that is about twin flames. Now back to Wendy.
Thank you. And I think that Smita probably mentioned this, but the one other thing that often is a question about twin flames, once again, it is rare to have both incarnate at the same time. It might be that you still have one or the other of the polarities that is on the other side of the veil. They are always connected, however. So if there is a choice to incarnate together, that would be when we would consider them split souls. Wonderful. So who are split souls? Why do they come to Earth? Why are advanced souls incarnating on Earth now? Well, as we mentioned, to assist in the evolution of Earth, to speed up the evolution of Earth and the opportunity for individuals to have much more rapid soul growth. Always they function as earth-based emissaries of the master gods, the brotherhood of light that we spoke of before. They are expected to operate based on humility and not ego. And this is a path of service. As I mentioned, it's a lighted path. It's a beautiful path. It's a heart path. All are working to reestablish divine love on Earth. And I think certainly that's something that all souls incarnate on Earth, of course, are working towards. But this is an intensity. There's an intense calling here with split souls to balance the divine masculine and divine feminine. We're moving at this time, we know, out of what I would call the patriarchal age into more solidly into the Aquarian age. Moving, you know, I sometimes it feels to me like we look around and the patriarch, thousands and thousands of years are kind of crashing and burning before our eyes. What's going to replace that? We're being called, all of us, to listen to the call of the light, our heart, to support each other. I think, once again, with split souls, working so beautifully with that creative soul energy. We all have creative gifts. We are all born into the world with amazing creative gifts that are God-given. We're meant to share them. We're meant to share that light and that love on the planet. And so moving into this Aquarian age, this is something that I think is a felt sense. And once again, as we heard with our speaker before, just so beautifully talking about many of the same things, that with all our senses moving into this time, the ability to feel more, to have that extra, it's extra sensory, isn't it? Whether it's smells or the vision that you have, the inner vision that is awakening, that beautiful sense of awakening, loving ourselves, nurturing ourselves, and then being able to radiate that light out to the whole world, so for the benefit of all. So this is really, once again, just why would we choose to do this? Why would we choose to be in many bodies in this density? It's a gift to all. And so, if we can move to the next slide. We wanted to show you, because once again, we have lots of questions. Well, you're talking about advanced souls and split souls. What are we talking about? We've got a planet of 8.1 billion people right now on planet Earth. Well, about 5% is what the research is showing are advanced souls. Of what Linda Backman in our classes with her training and her experience of over many thousands of people that she's progressed, she was looking at approximately 5% coming in as advanced souls. I think that's what we put at the bottom here. These percentages are approximations, because as with all research, it's fluid, right? We're living on this beautiful planet, all of us, with every single breath we take and the decisions we're making. These things are shifting and changing. So at the moment, our understanding is approximately 5%. Now, soul origins, and I don't think we really spoke too much about origins before, but once again, our understanding is that we have the enlightened earth beings, earth-based souls, meaning the earth-based souls, 3%. By far, they're a greater percentage. There are more numbers here that are advanced souls at the moment of the 3 origins that we currently know about and are studying. Earth-based, meaning home planet is Earth, okay? There may be a couple of incarnations that have been interplanetary, but by far the majority are on Earth. Interplanetary souls, about 1.5% of that 5. Interplanetary souls, their origin, their home is going to be not on the Earth, okay, off planet. And many places we may have heard of, Sirius, different stars and galaxies, many places we haven't heard of. So 1.5%. And the angelic realm is the rarest to choose to come into embodiment. The angelic realm souls are only about 0.5%. We know that all of this whole group are going to be the ones that choose to have split soul incarnations, and it's just a beautiful study to look at each of these and see how they choose to come in and what their paths are. It's difficult If you're not used to this planet, as we know, to embody here, the density creates special difficulties with diet, perhaps, or just being in a physical body. Emotion, sometimes people just are so empathic, it's extremely difficult to be in the human body with such heightened emotions. So many different challenges for these advanced souls. But these are the percentages that we wanted to share with you so that you would have some idea of the numbers that we're talking about and also the rarity. And all right, so if we could move to the next slide, please. Okay. And we were this was kind of a, even though we've talked a couple of times about this, we just wanted to summarize a little bit once again before we go into our experiential journey, because we want everyone to have an opportunity to, on a guided journey, which Smita is going to beautifully guide for us, to be able to ask that question for yourself, to receive your own information. So benefits of split souls. An accelerated soul evolution, the opportunity to have greater impact on the planet, significant impact, because rather than coming and being embodied with one soul blueprint into one body, you multiply that from anywhere from one additional, so 2 of you, all the way up to, as most research has shown, no more than 7 at a time, overlapping and integrating. So between 2 and 7 bodies at the same time. And what a benefit to be able to accelerate your soul growth, but also to be able to contribute to the collective consciousness and increased and ascended vibrations. So the opportunity to have a much greater impact on the planet. And we're all, of course, creating unity consciousness, but that recognition of that light, the recognition of the light within, is so important. And as part of that recognition, then knowing and being able to radiate in a more conscious and aware fashion out to the universe, to all humanity, but not just humanity, to all of life, including Gaia, because as we know, Mother Earth that supports us beautifully is a living being. And so we include Gaia in this as well. So thank you for this. And now I'm going to turn it over to Smita, and she's going to be leading us on a beautiful experiential journey.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Wendy. All right. So everybody, you have a glass of water with you. Just get some water. If you don't, just take a minute to grab some water.
It's always good to stay hydrated, right? For this beautiful work. And maybe even just a couple of deep breaths, you know?
Yeah. And we'll do some deep breathing at the start of the journey. And once everybody's back, I'm going to request Sister Mari to start the process off, call on our guides with her bowl. Best not to get any caffeinated drinks before that. I should have said that. All right, is everyone here? Wonderful. Oh, great. Just wait for everyone to get back here. And so everyone who's on the Zoom call also, please, I hope you're ready with a glass of water and just sit back, relax, and just listen to my voice. That's all you have to do. This journey asks for you to actively visualize and imagine. Some of you may see things, some of you may hear, feel, sense, or intuit. No matter what you experience, it is valid, it is good. And if you do not experience anything, but feel relaxed at the end of the journey, that is good too. Whatever you need in this moment, you shall receive. So if it is rest you need, that is what you will receive. So just sit back and relax. Close your eyes and place your hands on your lap facing up the sky. Uncross your legs and let them relax. Loosen up. And now take a deep breath through your nose, filling up your stomach, and release gently through your mouth. Take one more deep breath. Hold for a moment. And let go. And one last deep breath. Hold. And release. Feel all the tension leave your body. And feel a deep comfort slowly and gently begin to fill your body, starting from your toes. Relaxing your feet, relaxing your legs. As this comfort moves up, relaxing your knees, your thighs, and your hips. Feel the relaxation flowing into your lower back. Moving up, all the way up, into your upper back, releasing any tension in your back, relaxing you even more. Feel the comfort, a loving warmth, fill up your stomach area, and fill up all the organs in your abdomen. This comfort is now moving into your chest, filling up your lungs and your heart. And with every breath, feel your breathing relax more and more. Feel your body relax even more. And you're feeling so good, so wonderful, so peaceful. Feel this peace and this relaxation move into your shoulders, releasing any weight. Allow your shoulders to droop, Just let all the weight go. The weight of work, the weight of relationships, the weight of responsibilities, whatever it may be, just let it go. Feel the relaxation flowing into your arms, your hands, relaxing all the muscles in your hands, relaxing your fingers, and you're feeling so wonderful, so comfortable, so good. And now feel this warm comfort flow into your throat, relaxing all the muscles in your throat. Feel the comfort move into your face. A loving warmth relaxing all the muscles in your face, muscles around your mouth, your eyes, relaxing your jaw, your teeth, your cheekbones, and moving up your eyebrows and your forehead, relaxing your whole head. Feel this loving comfort flow into your scalp and move behind into your neck, relaxing all the muscles there, releasing any tension, relaxing all the muscles around your ears, in your ears, and you are feeling so good, so peaceful, so relaxed. You are feeling like an island of calm and quiet. And in this state of deep relaxation, visualize yourself or imagine yourself standing next to the beautiful ocean, all by yourself. You are standing on this beautiful golden sand, all by yourself. Your feet are bare and firmly planted on the soft, warm sand. Keeping your eyes closed, feel the lovely, relaxing ocean breeze. Feel the breeze caress your face. You can see or hear the waves come and go, come and go. There is so much peace here. Make a note of your surroundings. See if it is daytime or nighttime. Perhaps it is sunny and the day is warm. Or perhaps the moon and the stars are out, visible in the vast night sky. Whatever it may be, simply make a note of it. And note if there are any rocks and vegetation growing around, lying around the ocean. There is something deeply relaxing about standing right next to the ocean and being and feeling one with it. This is peace. This feels like home. Soon, you will hear footsteps of a being come and stand right next to you, ever so quietly. This being may be a guide, an ascended master, a loved one, even a pet, or a friend, or a family member, someone who may be living or perhaps not, or your own higher self, or perhaps an aspect of your own soul. Take a moment to acknowledge that presence right next to you. Feel, sense, experience this loving presence. And know that they are here today to express their love and support for you, and perhaps even offer some advice. Take a few moments by connecting to them via words or pictures, thoughts or emotions. You may receive messages intuitively from them. Often this communication happens intuitively. Whatever comes most easily to you. Receive through all your senses. Perhaps the messages are coming through as smells or fragrances. Or perhaps you're seeing images. And if they are a loved one that you are aware of, or your own higher self, or perhaps a guide, ask them if you have other aspects of your soul. Ask if those aspects are concurrently living a parallel life on Earth, or perhaps another dimension. And if they are aspects of your own soul who have come to see you today, ask them about their life, where they live, and what kind of work they do. And ask them to share something about their journey and what may be the lesson so far that your combined oversoul shares. Whoever you meet, just stay there and communicate heart to heart. Receive all the sharing. Receive the communication with an open heart and mind. Feel, sense, and listen deeply to the wisdom, the loving guidance coming through. Take your time communicating with this being. Receive all you need to receive today. Whatever you need will come to you. God need in this moment will come to you. And now it is time to take leave from this beautiful meeting, from this beautiful being who has come to visit you. Thank and express love to whoever came through for you. You may even give them a hug. And now, with a full heart, bring your attention back to your breath. Your gently beating, beautiful heart. Thank your breath for allowing you to feel alive. Thank your body for letting you carry forth your soul's mission and purpose. Feel the beautiful energy of this meeting move all through your body and fill it up from the top of your head and all the way down into your feet and through your feet into the earth. You connect the heavens to the earth and the earth to the universe. You are the connection between the two. And know that you are here for a reason. Know you are loved. Know there is meaning and purpose in your existence. And take a deep breath and let go. And when you feel ready and complete, you may open your eyes. Take a sip of water if you need to. Jot down some notes if you have some paper and pencil. And as you feel ready, we will open the floor for some sharing. Thank you.
Smita, thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful journey, guided journey for everyone. Wow. So just taking a few moments till everyone is back. And of course, with Sharon, you don't have to share, but we would be so, so happy if you would like to, because as we know, anything that you may have experienced can help to bring insight and understanding to others as well. It's always interesting to have a greater understanding of what's happening for each of us. And so I just also want to mention that as far as sharing, we can either bring, for those of you here, we can bring a microphone to you, or if you'd like to come up, you can stand here to share. Those of you in our wonderful Zoom room, we would love to hear from you as well. You can speak right from there, or let us know in the chat room what your experience is. So any of those opportunities are available. And so I'd just like to open the floor to see if there's anyone that would like to share what may have happened on the journey with them. Some people are still writing. I think we need a few extra moments.
While we're waiting, there was a question.
Okay. So we have, I'm going
to take the questions and appreciate it.
We do have some wonderful questions, and we'd like to answer those questions, but first we thought that we would go ahead and since we've just finished the experiential and have sharing regarding the experiential, and then we can go to the questions. We definitely have some time, so if that's all right with everyone. Just wait a few more moments, just let everybody finish. Anyone here?
Right, and I know you
We would love to hear from you.
I was visited by my,
Wait, come again.
oh, I don't want to.
We can bring you a microphone. Would you like that? So we can hear you.
Sure, why not?
Thank you.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
So the people, when I was visited, next to me on my right-hand side was an extraterrestrial being that I know named Bjorn. Not sure if it's male or female, but he or she is visited many times in a white lighter. I call it a white lighter. I think Carol would call it a, I don't know, I'm still real good with this. And then I did have a feeling of parallel-like individual that I do when I dream at night. That's the question I wanted to ask, because I have these intense dreams where I'm interacting with other beings. I feel like in another world or another, and it's always, it just reminded me that it's always like my life here compared to what I'm doing, I guess, somewhere else, is always, it's violent, conflict, maybe war. And every time I go into that in a dream state, it seems like it's like that. And basically, it's like that doesn't really change, but we're doing good things wherever wherever that is. And but it's pretty intense. I mean, when I do go into that dream state, I have to stop it because it's too intense and I can't sleep. And I just basically go, I have a thing where I go, I'm not sleeping, I have to shut the door, and I visualize shutting the door. And that lets me sleep, but it is ongoing. That was a question I want to ask you, this when this continues on, like night after night, is this really happening to me? Is there a different reality that I'm going to?
I have a question for you. When you're in that dream state, do you have a feeling that you're observing? Do you have a feeling that this is you? Are you feeling the feelings of these individuals that you say are, did you say warring or in conflict?
No, I'm participating.
You're participating, okay.
I'm verbally talking back and forth. I'll wake up. Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. It'll stop. I'll go back to sleep, and it'll continue on. And we're interacting, we're doing different things. And I barely remember when I wake up, but it's like, but I do remember, it's like when I go back to sleep. Wow, here we go again. I'm back at it.
And it may be very possible that these memories, these experiences are coming up for you to be able to face whatever conflicts are there for the purpose of healing. To not repress them, but to allow them to come up. To be able to, and it may be that if you're able to do that, or as you're able to do that, they may dissipate, possibly, you know. It may be factions of it's just that one possibility. But there's a purpose, there certainly is a purpose to why they're coming to you. And so just, that's one possibility. It's not unrelated, is what I'm saying. They're coming to you for a purpose. There's communication and some kind of understanding is reaching out to you for you to have some.
To add
Yeah.
something.
So would you say, because they're so intense, I just, most of the time, I'm like, I gotta shut the door.
Yeah.
But you're saying basically it's, no matter how intense it gets, leave the door open and just let it go wherever it goes.
Did you respond to that?
It's a feeling that that there is purpose. It's coming to you for purpose. And certainly you could continue to close the door. But as you feel, if you do, as you feel more comfortable, you might experiment with leaving the door open and seeing what happens. To just maybe move into your heart. Okay, so there's a feeling of fear perhaps in watching this and not wanting to be in that conflict. But perhaps you can soften that as you're, you know you're safe. This is a dream, but you can soften and move into your heart space and just ask for guidance. Ask for your guides to be there with you and just open yourself to what is the bigger picture here? What is the bigger picture here?
Ask in deep dream state.
Mhm.
So what's the message here? Why am I in this?
Mhm. What is
What's the purpose?
what is this being presented to me for, and why is it being presented multiple times? Why is this happening over and over? Obviously, there's something here that I'm meant to receive as a communication, as some kind of information that's going to benefit me in my life now. It's a possibility, and I think Smita would like to speak to what you've just expressed as well.
So a lot of work that we do as hypnotherapists or past life regression therapists is about empowering those that we work with. So what I would like to suggest is that you feel empowered to ask and say, I don't want any more of this. And if there is a purpose to this, then show me the purpose. If there's lessons here, then show me the lessons. So you can actively ask your guides, and they're responsible to show you and share with you what your purpose is for seeing these kind of dreams every night.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. Just when they just came to me, I mean, I do have this feeling. It's like obviously we know each other. When it was maybe several individuals, I mean, they were like laughing. It's like, dude, you know us, and it's like there's a familiarity when they come
Right.
back, you know,
Right.
like ongoing.
And
Right.
then you can set the tone. You can say, okay, I don't want to see a warring scene. I want to change the scene to one where we are having a party.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else would like to share? Anyone online would like to share?
Hi, Smita.
Hello?
Hi, it's Monica. I have a question. So I I'm one of the, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm one of those people who can go like ridiculously fast into any type of regression. I went, to the beach like you said, and I was thinking, okay, this is nothing's gonna happen immediately, though somebody's standing right next to me, like when you said. And it was somebody I recognized. And interestingly enough, he was standing there just like very mundanely throwing a baseball up. And he said to me, did you know I was really good at baseball? And I didn't. In this past life, I could have done this before. And I said, okay. And I kind of was trying to veer him away from that, but it seemed like he wanted to talk about that. So we talked about that for a minute. And then I said, hey, we're talking about split souls.
Mhm. Right.
So I wanted to mention that to you. Do you know if, and this is not a spirit guide, this is somebody who died that I know. And I said, hey, do you know if I'm one? And he said, no, you're not. And so he said, your friend is, though. And I talked to him about her. And so I said, that's really interesting because, she's, and this is not a judgment at all because we talk about it all the time because she's really, and I think she's got so much potential. And I'm always like, oh my gosh, you just have like the brightest soul. You just have so much, work to do to get out of your depression and anxiety and all that stuff, and she's like one of my favorite people in the world. I love her. So my question is this, is she, people who have split souls,
Right.
do you see them often? Because I heard you saying they're light workers, they're people who, are looking to bring like a better world, things like that.
Right.
And she'll be one of those people who will scream and tear down the government if she could to make it a better world for this, people who are being served injustice. And she actually lives in a different country than me. So do you see them being in this position, or do you see them being happy people, or are they people who tend to be people who are long suffering?
Okay, so I think your question has multiple parts. What you're asking is about your friend, right? I'm trying
Really,
to
the split soul, like, so as like today, somebody who
right,
has a split soul, do you
right.
see them like, are they a person who's going through suffering typically?
They do take very challenging lives. I mean, it's I think a lot of people that we see serving the world are and have people who have a sense of purpose. They don't exactly have very easy lives. I mean, if somebody, there are certain people who are gifted lives which are called vacation lives. You come here and you just have fun on the airplane and you're done. But there is no way you can spiritually grow without living through challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And even the idea of coming on earth in multiple bodies with overlapping lives, so you're basically using more and more of your solar energy and coming on earth and living these multiple lives, you can't possibly have all the lives easygoing.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of every life, like everyone's experience, like Buddha saw, right? You experience illness, you experience death, all of that. That's all part of life. Sadness, happiness, it's all part of everyone's experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is no life that comes without its challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And advanced souls do take on somewhat more challenging lives, which is what makes them advanced.
Yep.
So does that help?
Yeah, you know, the thing that she doesn't recognize it. When I tell her all the time, you are so gifted, she says, no, 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 I am absolutely not. She just sees herself as so lowly. That's what blows my mind, you know, so that she would never, if I ever said anything to her about this being an advanced, like use the word advanced soul, no
Right.
way, no way.
Yeah, no, in that case, it's so important to go into the process of self-realization, self-discovery, meditate regularly,
Yes.
because you have to see your own soul's beauty. That's
Yeah.
the only way to understand how beautiful divine is. Unless you see the divinity within yourself, you're not going to be able to see it in others,
Mhm.
and you're not going to be able to fully live your purpose, because I do believe that it is part of our purpose as a soul to realize our own divinity.
Yes. Yep. I agree with that 100%. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And how beautiful, your friend is very fortunate, by the way, to have you to help to reflect that light back to her and let her know. So,
Thank you.
thank you. So we have some other questions here.
Oh,
Yes. Wonderful. We're going to have this lovely lady come up and speak into the camera with her question.
it's very, yeah, short questions. I have two very short questions. What is like if you came face to face with your twin soul or split soul, would you recognize them face to face, like physically?
It is possible if you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. My question was like, suppose you came face to face with your twin soul or split soul, would you recognize them physically if you did? Okay.
My response to that would be that yes, and maybe no. It just depends on the kind of interaction. And so usually looking into a person's eyes, you can recognize the soul. So you may feel a sense of recognition, but you may not know it's your own soul. Sometimes though, you can. The more aware you are, the more, sense that you have of who you are and more spiritually advanced you are, the recognition gets sharper. So, but then there are times, especially with split souls, I think we didn't say this enough, Wendy, that a lot of split souls are living around the world, living their own lives. They have no idea how they're connected to each other.
I think that's going to be more, yeah. So that would be more true, I think. And that was occurring to both of us. That so I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Smita, because I think that would be an obvious question too. Most of the time, you're not going to have any idea. I think most people that when they think about split souls and wouldn't even call it that, they have a lot of questions about a twin flame soul. But split souls, the additional that we've been talking about today, you may have, for instance, I'll just say that for one of mine, I believe I have a ballerina. I've certainly never met her. I wouldn't be able to prove this, but throughout my life, there have been experiences that I've had, people asking me questions many times. Are you a ballerina? I have in my family. I've always had a ballerina that hangs in my bedroom. It just came to me as I started studying this a while ago, that I believe that she is a split soul. I've never met her. I think, as Smita mentioned, probably one of the best ways, if there was going to be recognition and you were in the same room, would absolutely be if you were looking into the eyes. And as we regress people, quite often, we will ask them, when they say there's someone that's significant, and this can happen in a regression, suddenly there might be tears or great emotion, and we know something is happening. Even when people say, I think I'm making this all up, and then there's such emotion, and they're right in the experience, it's so present. And perhaps there's an individual that's so significant that has entered the scene, entered the picture, and they look into their eyes, and suddenly they know exactly who that individual is. Ah, that's my mother in this life. That's my husband. That's my son, whatever. So in the same way, looking into their eyes, I think would, and if you might feel a great sense of familiarity. It might not be a split soul, but that would certainly be one way that you may receive that answer as you're looking and asking the question within, and see how that comes back to you, what answer comes to you.
One more thing I'd like to add. There are times that we've had a sense of deja vu. We go to a place and we feel like we know that place, or we know the people. Now, that could be because we've had a past life there, or that could be because we have a split soul in that place who is living a life there. And as those experiences integrate in our oversoul, the experience or that feeling filters down, that knowing filters down in your aspect of that oversoul. So that might happen. That's a possibility.
Another quick question. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but could the light work that the split souls do be completely different and different modalities of healing?
Would you repeat that question?
Yeah, because you mentioned that they both come for healing and enlightenment and like light work, but could those be completely different? Like, for example, somebody could be a doctor and the other one could be a soldier.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because, the whole idea is to accrue as diverse experience as possible. That's how a soul grows. The more diverse the experience, the more you grow. We have to experience the contrast. Whether we come, one lifetime after another, or whether we are here in multiple bodies embodied at the same time, the more diverse, the greater soul growth. Wendy, do you have anything to add?
I would say absolutely. Complete agreement. Yeah, and with this, as we mentioned before, it's such an incredible experience to be able to have multiple experiences. So I think for that tapestry, absolutely, we would not want to have all the same. We would be experimenting. It's that creative urge, wanting to experience ourselves in many, many different ways and realms, and you might have, and you would have completely different personalities. There might be some commonalities, but it would be wonderful, wouldn't it? If you knew, for instance, if you did a research on yourself, maybe you asked in dream state or something, could you bring this information to me over a period of time? And maybe you find out you have a couple of splits, and then little by little you might learn a little bit about each of them and keep a diary, perhaps, over a period of time. It would be very interesting what information might come through to you about them. But I think that you would find that it would be, like having three completely different friends that have completely different backgrounds, being born all over the world, and they're not born at the same time. You know, it's not something where, each, yes.
Yeah, which is the next.
Oh, okay. The next question, do split souls incarnate at exactly the same time? I think unless you were an identical twin, which would be another form, and that's not even the exact same time, right? Maybe 3 minutes apart or something. But no, generally speaking, they're not. There would be there's overlapping, okay, overlapping and integrating of the experience. So even if you don't know who the other 2 or 3 may be, if you have them, you are still being affected by the soul growth. Each of you are being affected and influenced. You are growing together. You're one soul. As you remember, we're one soul incarnating into these different bodies. So the fantastic benefit being that you are accruing the wisdom and the healing that is happening for each. Okay, you might even not be aware, but it is an accelerated path. So that's one of the benefits.
Yeah, and I just want to mention Dr. Ian Stevenson's research in this area, because he found what he called parallel births, but really it was that one person lived, say, up to a certain amount of time, died, you know, when they were old, but while they were still living, another person was conceived. And the person who was conceived, when they grew up, were able to recollect their past life as the older person. So there's really interesting ways how the lifetimes overlap, but there's always a little bit of overlap. It just depends. It's never the exact same day, exact same year.
So this is wonderful. We have a couple of questions here, so we're going to try to answer each of them one at a time, and maybe there'll be some more as we're speaking. So this question is, can you talk a little bit more about each split having their own higher self? Absolutely. So we have the one soul, which we are calling the oversoul, the one soul, and each of the personalities, each of the incarnations, embodiments, does have their own higher self. And what we mean by that is you have that inner divinity that's connected to the to that inner wisdom. Okay, now the higher selves are all connected. If you remember the visual that we had that showed the oversoul and then coming down into each of the higher selves, and the higher selves would be connected as well. Okay, but they are not, each incarnate embodiment has their own distinct higher self, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So think about this, that you have one soul that's been born as a soldier and one soul that's born as an astrologer. Now, you wouldn't want the higher self of the astrologer to be advising the soldier, you know, and predicting, hey, this is the date when war might happen, or whatever, right? Like, you don't want those mixed up. So when we talk about higher self, we are looking at the wisdom and the plan your soul, your specific aspect came with. And the higher self, your higher self is the aspect, is the part of your soul that guides your lifetime. So if the soul is living 5 lifetimes on earth, each lifetime, each person that you are needs specific guidance to live that lifetime fully and completely. You know, as a doctor, again, if you decide to become a doctor, you need wisdom and planning that is specific to help you become a doctor and follow that career. So I think there's a lot of intelligence in this universe in the way things are. And we are only trying to understand, there's nothing that says this is how it is, but this is what we feel it is, because as a hypnotherapist, I get guidance from my higher self on how to work through a particular session with a specific person. And it's different for each person. So I can fully trust that wisdom that's coming through for me. I could not possibly trust if it was another aspect of me, that is playing another role. So I think there's just a lot of intelligence in the way it's designed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful divine intelligence. It's amazing. Okay, so we have, let's see, this one? Yeah. Okay, so this question that we have here is, have you experienced examples of multiple souls in the same body? I have read that advanced souls have joined our bodies to help us evolve to fifth dimension, to 5D. Okay, so I guess asking me specifically, have you experienced examples, or even maybe in my practice, of multiple souls in the same body? So
Multiple souls
Yeah.
in the same body.
yeah, so that's different. Okay, I mean, I'm going to say that what's coming to me is, it sounds, for an example, maybe a walk-in or something. I have had a teacher who specifically believed that, and explained this to us in great detail, not one that we've spoken about today, not a teacher we've spoken about today. His name is Ken Page, and is actually Drunvalo's, if you know Drunvalo's nephew, but Ken Page is, he said that at one point he was driving a car and has no idea, some kind of an accident. And when he came back into consciousness, over the next couple of weeks, apparently his family thought he was a completely different person. And he felt that he had had the experience of another soul, which he believed was a pre-birth agreement as a potentiality. That if things got too difficult, if someone, this is his explanation to us as to why he believed this happened for him, that he was maybe veering off his life plan in some way, to some extent. So to assist in realigning, apparently he had had an agreement that another soul, with permission from his higher self, could, agreement between the higher selves, could come into his body. And then at some point, the other really kind of steps back and plays a lesser role. I cannot say that I'm so familiar with walk-ins in that way. I really have not had what I would call experience of that in my sessions. I've not had experience personally. So, do you want to add something, Smita? Yeah.
Yeah, I do have somebody that I've been working with since 2018 who has 4 or 5 different beings, distinct beings that are part of his soul makeup. And he knows them really, really well, each one of them. And each time we do a session where we go somewhat deeper, he's able to pull them and those personalities. And he does not exhibit those personalities in his regular life, but they do come through when we go under hypnosis. And as a soul, he is what you would consider a misfit in this world. He's had a very, very difficult time. But definitely meeting with all these different aspects of him helps him understand his purpose better. So. Beautiful. Yeah, okay. And here's a question for me. Have your clients actually stated that they recognize the other pieces of their souls when they show up in the other body, or does it take time to recognize the other piece of the soul? It just depends on the client. So each session, we go in with a certain intention. Sometimes it is what we focus on is what we get resolved in the session. And so the focus is never really that, oh, we want to see if we have other aspects of ourselves. And the focus is always that, I'm going through the situation and I want to do something about it. I want to know the lessons behind this event that happened in my life. Or I've had a very difficult relationship with my mom and I want to see some resolution. It's always something like that. But there are a couple times when I've worked with a client, and one time there's this client who has seen very clearly a lifetime where she was looking directly at somebody in a temple complex, and she was at the door. She knew she was in body. She could see her own body standing at the temple door and looking at this wedding ceremony that was happening. And then she looked at the girl, the bride, and she said, oh my God, that is me as well. So this was very clearly a case of a split soul. And then she said that, oh, I wanted to marry that girl, but that other guy is getting married. Basically, she wanted to marry herself, go figure. But the thing is that it does happen. Then another lifetime she gave birth to a child, and this child was also part of her soul, and she recognized herself in that child. So it just tells me that there are certain souls that have the ability to show up as split souls.
And right, so this particular question is, do split souls create challenges for people, multiple personalities? I guess I can't definitively say no. My feeling would be based on just experiences of working with some. It's never come up. I guess unless you really knew what all of the other person, I don't think because you have split souls, I don't think that necessarily ties into multiple personalities. Because I don't believe it's the same thing.
Unless they're twin flames, then they create challenges for you.
You can reflect, yeah, twin flames. But not, I think multiple personalities, meaning, I wonder if this individual is meaning like schizophrenia or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that okay. Hopefully we were able to answer that a little bit.
Yes, we are already done.
Yeah. Time for one more question. I'm not in.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because
Would you like to speak your question? I want to make sure that it's accurate.
I think you should.
Thank you.
I not infrequently meet people who tell me that I remind them of their brothers or friends, not just look like them, but something of my essence strongly reminds me or reminds them of them. Could this be connected to split souls or something? It happens not infrequently.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, go for it. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because our common teacher, Linda, talks a lot about that. And basically, when you start studying when you start studying soul origins, you learn about soul families and soul pods. Soul pods are like what a nuclear family would be, or, your close family on Earth. And so a soul pod will have individuals or individual aspects, individual souls that are vibrating very close to each other. And sometimes when those souls are embodied at the same time on Earth, you know, they'll gravitate towards each other. So that's one, that your energy may feel familiar to somebody, and they might think that, oh, you sound or feel like somebody we know. When it comes to facial features, if the facial features are similar, then there is a chance that you could be split souls. But again, we just need to do a lot more research into this and see how this phenomenon shows up. Again, you know, I keep reminding myself what Linda says, that advanced souls are very creative with their energy. And so you just never know, you know, you may be a dancer here and you may be something else there. I mean, but there are, if you are in the same soul pod, then energetically and sometimes even physically, you can look very similar. So that does happen.
Are twins necessarily the same split souls or not?
You want to come and ask that question? Okay.
Did twins
Yeah, Vishnu has a question about twins, like twins when somebody has twin children, right? No, they're not necessarily the same soul that has split into two. They can be two souls that made a pact. They made a contract before coming to be born in that way. Okay. All right. Are we all done with our questions? Yes.
We are, but not done with.
Oh, yeah, we are not
We're
done
not
with.
quite done.
Yes.
Almost done.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, we just want to
That's-
thank everybody for the wonderful
thank you
questions.
so much for all of those fantastic questions and sharing. We really, really appreciate that you're willing to ask and to share. So thank you. Illuminating for everyone. And so just all right. You want to?
Yes. In closing. Yes, so next slide, and this is not our final slide, but one of our last slides. So in summary, we just want to state when we were talking and discussing split souls, we realized how split souls express, in a way, they are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So just like the divine sends out all, you know, these sparks of its divinity through all of us, all over this universe. Similarly, an oversoul that is empowered, has the energy to, will send small sparks of itself, embodied sparks on Earth. It has the ability to do that. And to that extent, we are reminded of this beauty, the beauty of what we can experience together when we really do connect in our hearts. And there's this beautiful quote by my teacher, my first teacher, Dr. Brian Weiss. Over our many lifetimes, we have been all races, all religions, both sexes, and many nationalities. We have been rich and we have been poor. We must learn from all sides. We are all the same. It is time to reject all bigotry and prejudice. It is time to embrace love. And I heard Chris Beige also say, you know, something very similar. So this truly is, we can go crazy looking for our splits. That's not the purpose. The purpose is what we are doing, what is our specific body, this human that's present here, what is our purpose? So even as we learn about the different ways consciousness manifests itself, it is really important to bring the focus back to your own being and see what you can do, how you can serve the world. And so I will ask Wendy.
So what a
to
beautiful
wrap up.
quote, and it's absolutely beautiful. When we feel, and really Smita just said this through Brian's quote, but when we've been all nationalities, when we've been everything, we're one. You know, that's recognition at a soul level. We are all one. So heart to heart. I just like to say too, so reincarnation, this body of research that we've been speaking about today, is so important, as it shows we are one. We must begin by loving ourselves, by recognizing our own light, our inner divinity. Then we are able to radiate that love out to others. No separation, barriers dissolved, returning home to source. The light that we see in others is a reflection of the light within. Our hearts are our true compass.